thoughts, views, and comments expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on Beyond the Headlines are not necessarily those of management, ownership, or production unit of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be reproduced or represented in part or entirety without express written permission of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2021.
Welcome to Beyond the Headlines. Coming up tonight, China's ambassador to the Bahamas responds to the United States urging to the region to distance itself from China and get on board, in fact, forge a closer relationship with the United States as the U.S. sees this region as its third border. We talk about that tonight. Also, union leaders voice off on the reemployment of civil servants. Tonight, we hear some numbers in terms of payment that are startling. And the Organization for Responsible Governance is applauding the move to introduce an ombudsman that will bring greater accountability to governance. We talk about that. And former Speaker of the House, Halson Mutri, says the recent claims of mental instability or insanity of persons accused of serious crime is a cop-out. Tonight, Mutri speaks on what's really happening among men in the Bahamas. This is Beyond the Headlines. Good evening. I'm Shanique Miller. It's great to have you along this evening. Well, union officials in the country are not satisfied with government following the reveal of almost 500 public servants being reinstated into the public sector following retirement. They're calling it a step in the wrong direction. Linton Ritchie Jr. brings us the latest, and then we come back and talk about it.
The governing Progressive Liberal Party is under fire tonight. Union heads are in an uproar following the revelation made by Minister of Labour Pia Glover-Roll in Parliament on Wednesday that nearly 500 retired public officers have been re-engaged as full-time public servants. While President of the Bahamas Union of Teachers Belinda Wilson agrees with the re-engagement of retired teachers where there are shortages in the public school sector, she also expressed concern over the whopping salaries being paid to these retired public servants who have now returned to the employment line.
A fixed salary of $104,750 per year, a responsibility allowance of $20,000 per year, a housing allowance of $12,000 per year, payment of all unused accumulated vacation leave, a vehicle, a cell phone, and a 15% gratuity at the end of the contract.
Wilson says the exorbitant contracts are now a hindrance for members of her union who awaits monies and benefits she says is owed to them.
Hundreds of teachers who have already worked are still awaiting salary increases, increments, responsibility allowances, rental allowance increases, and much, much more.
Wilson is not alone in her concern over the recent revelation.
You have undersecretaries and deputy permanent secretaries at the next level that act in their absence. And so that speaks to the ability of these individuals to get the job done.
That's President of the Bahamas Public Services Union, Kimsley Ferguson, who says from his view, Glover-Roll's reasoning for the reinstatement of retired public servants is not valid.
Ministers should have really rethought her response.
Wilson says Glover-Roll's announcement adds insult to injury on the heels of a letter reportedly released by Financial Secretary Simon Wilson last month.
That public servants who are owed monies in excess of 5 years will not be paid, but the chosen few can enjoy gratuities, pensions, and a gussie contract. It is egregious.
Here's what both union heads suggest to government.
Promote deserving public servants to senior positions, which many of them have been waiting for the opportunity for years.
They come back in another capacity that they can contribute to or assist in wherever the deficiency is, but not to prejudice another individual's opportunity to advance.
The Office of the Prime Minister, via its communication director, Latre Raman, doubled down on government's decision to re-engage retired public servants and noted that the rehires are for the betterment of the public service. Linton Ritchie Jr., Eyewitness News.
Well, there it is. You heard in particular in that report, Presidents Kingsley Ferguson and also Belinda Wilson just really talk about why this is not such a good idea. I mean, nearly 500, I think it's 491 people have been re-engaged in the public service. But you also heard the BUT president just kind of, I don't know if she was giving out money or something, because the hefty sums and various attachment to base salaries is quite handsome, quite a handsome package for a few of those people. Well, we're going to talk about that this evening. Welcome to Beyond the Headlines, our contributors, Michael Turnquest, Ellington Ferguson. Gentlemen, good evening to both of you. Welcome to the show.
Good evening, Shanique. Good evening, Bahamas. Good evening, Shanique. Good evening, Bahamas. Certainly, it's a pleasure to be here once again.
Good to have you both here. Listen, Wilson started off by saying, you know what, the re-engagement of public service isn't at the outset a bad thing. Teachers are needed. We know there's a teacher shortage. We've seen that play out in schools around the nation.
Yes.
So she's like, listen, no, sometimes it's for good. It needs to happen. In education, for example, the re-employment is fantastic. Bring them in, good. But then she highlighted other areas where it's almost putting a burden on the public system and the public service with in particular, some of which have hefty salaries and various incentives, other incentives added on to those. Your thoughts, gentlemen?
You know, Shanique, my thoughts on this, if you were to allocate that money, we always say our teachers need better salaries, better this, in order to bring quality teachers into the profession. Allocate some of those funds to re-engage, whether it be qualified, more than qualified teachers, to get them more incentivized to come into the field. Whereas though we're putting, education should be key. This is where we should be spending the money, not giving the consultants who are making the $250 million in consultancy fees that we're paying out, the retirees that are coming back and making, whether it be, $20,000, $30,000 more than they used to. Give that to the teachers, and I guarantee you will see more qualified young individuals putting up their hands saying, hey, I'm going to apply for the job. We have our qualified teachers are going to the private institutions where they are getting paid the good salaries, where they can make a living, if they can live comfortably, pay their bills, pay their light bill. But it's very hard for our teachers that sit inside in the government schools to say, they can barely make it. They got to go get a second job. They got to possibly do certain things to make ends meet. Mm-hmm. So why don't we focus on where the money should be allocated?
So you're saying, but Michael, I'm sure there are other areas in the public service that need the help and need the additional staff and maybe expertise. But at 500 people, that's really the main thing you're saying,
it's
right?
500, but at the same time, we talk about, we want to care for our little ones. We want to make sure they get...
But redirect it to where it should be.
Where it should be. We always say we want to focus on education. We want to make sure people take, we've seen cases after cases that, even on this show, that people have came in terms of, we have teachers that are not fit to be inside the school, just in the atmosphere, because their attitude towards our little children, I don't care what the age is, you should have a caring attitude when it comes to, especially dealing with little kids. I don't care where there's obesity, things of that sort. Teachers should not be in a school ridiculing little children in terms of whether they're overweight or things of that sort. And you should not engage in any type of, I would say, altercation. You try to remove yourself from that. And we either call in the authorities and things of that sort, but we see over and over cases where it seems as though the teachers come to the classroom to, hey, you want this.
You want go at this?
You want to do something, we need to really take a look at this. And I'm not saying that all are bad, but at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure if you were
saying if it's any re-engagement, put all that effort and energy into education, that definitely
where we'll see at the end of the day, and you have a child that goes through a 12-year school period, in terms of grade 1, grade 2, whatever, up, over a decade, I'm pretty sure we'll see the grade average level goes up. Things people just you gotta engage, you gotta keep them motivated, you gotta bring them in. You gotta teachers who could bring kids in and make sure they want to learn.
Shanique, if I have had a breakdown from the Minister, Pia Glover Roll, that spoke to how many of these persons would have been nurses that they brought back, because we've always had shortage of nurses, teachers that we brought back to put into the classrooms, I would feel a whole better about this situation. But the
lack of the breakdown. Where have they been deployed?
And so based on what I feel that I got from the minister and the government, I'm disappointed. I think this fiasco speaks to a breakdown or a failure in government. And when I say government, I'm not speaking specifically to this administration only. I'm talking about this, the previous one, the ones before it. Okay, all these years we've been doing here, and all of these leaders, the Free National Movement, the Progressive Liberal Party, have always spoke about the next generation and preparing for the next generation. And here we come at this juncture in 2025, where we have nobody where these persons would have retired from that has been trained to carry these departments, that we've got to go and bring people back. When we have the nurses crying about funds owed to them, doctors crying about monies owed to them, teachers crying about monies owed to them, and other civil servants, across the board, the government having challenge in dealing with payment to people who are working for them. I'm sure that these people who are on these contracts, they don't have to clamor for their money comes on time. And so when you have this kind of money, I heard the teacher union said that something came across a desk to the tune of you getting $104,000, you're getting
that person has to be highly skilled.
20,000 for a job description, then 12,000 for housing. This is somebody from across from New Zealand or somewhere.
Yeah,
you're getting 12,000 for housing and transportation and fuel. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I think that person
doesn't sit well
at the level of the top office.
It speaks to two things: either it speaks to incompetency, or just taking care of our family and friends.
But they're in top office doing what? What are they doing exactly? I mean,
we would like to know. I'll tell you this though, Ellington, and let's just consider this part, this aspect of this argument, right, or discussion. The fact that, it's vexing sort of to see people come back and you hear about their expertise and whatnot, and you say, Ellington, okay, where is the succession planning, all this stuff. Let's just be real as well. Largely speaking, many in the public service don't measure up to what once was. And so there is that gap. The gap is widening because the people are not skilled. They don't want to work. The work ethic is poor. All of this is what plagues the same public service system.
Shanique, that scares me right there. So then, these now people that just come out of the system, who has been there, obviously all they've been doing is managing and not giving real leadership, because real leadership inspires, motivates, and develop people behind them that they're leading. So I'm scared now that you're bringing the same people who just retire back to train these people. Why wasn't it done while they were there?
But the question,
what's going on? And so again, it still speaks. You talk about the gap. It still speaks to a failure in the government administration of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
But you always have to remember, at the end of the day, and it happens all the time in the private sector. You are as a leader in whatever department you might be in an organization, it is mandatory that you have some type of succession planning. In the event that it's never to be a single point of failure. What people do in government sectors is they want to create. People intentionally create single points of failure in the event that they were to ever be asked to leave, or they do leave. It's guaranteed that they will at some point have to come back in order to advise in terms of all of these files that are sitting here, what's going on here. People intentionally, in a lot of organizations, you find it, especially government organizations, where people want to be the single point of failure because you have no choice but to call me back.
Call them back.
But you should make it mandatory when you have PSs, DPSs. You should make sure they have proper succession planning, and you see whereas though in the event, and you see in private organizations, you are mandatory that you take a 2-week leave without any phone calls, things of that sort, because they want to make sure that the corporation or that business can actually survive and operate without you.
Absolutely.
You should take no, and it's tested all the time.
Yeah.
But we allow these I would say public servants to go in and they create the chaos that's there.
There is a chaos. We know in certain ministries in particular, the engine isn't even moving. It's at a standstill. And so the public service is this major ship that is so outdated that it is taking a lot to turn it in the direction it needs to go. And then, of course, it's saddled with these hefty salaries and additional salaries as we are speaking. But let's move forward. China's ambassador to the Bahamas says, listen, China ain't the U.S. As you all know, Caribbean leaders are in Barbados right now. They started since yesterday, the Caribbean Heads of Government meeting, the 48th session. And we were, at the beginning of this week, we talked about the United States and several congressmen writing to Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and saying, hey, listen, we need to speak with the region, the Caribbean region, because their relationship with China is worrisome because they see the region as its third border. Well, China's ambassador to the Bahamas is saying, hold up, China don't tell people to pick sides. China just here to try and make an impact and assist with economies and all that stuff. But what we don't do is go to small groupings and try to build, and have geopolitical conversations and competitions going on. What do you all think? What do you all think? Because right now in Barbados, in either break-off meetings or in major big sessions, there are some U.S. officials straight out of Washington. They're sitting with Caribbean leaders. We talked about it earlier. We say, listen, this is an ideal opportunity for Caribbean leaders to say, okay, fine, but here's what we need. Like, what do you all think about how this is now shaping up, that China's ambassador is standing up and saying, no, we here, we doing business. We are impacting and empowering various Caribbean nations, including the Bahamas, and this is what we're doing.
Shanique, this whole back and forth with China and the U.S. We see it unfolding right in the front of us, and this is going to be going on for some time now. With the tariffs that's going to be placed on China, and at the end of the day, I think we're smack in the middle, being whereas though China is, you've seen them going throughout the Caribbean, whereas the way that they build stadiums and assisted in different major projects, and this isn't something new in terms of the U.S. The U.S. has been behind a lot of Caribbean countries over the past more than a decade now, saying, hey, you guys are taking too much from China, you need to pull back. At the end of the day, we're a small nation that we do require assistance at times to make sure that we can move the country forward in terms of development, infrastructure, things. It's up to us and our leaders to make sure that they make the right choice on the behalf of the people, in terms of not selling the country.
That's the bottom line.
Yes, I think that's where the bottom line. And I think for us, we need to take a stance, maybe telling the U.S., at the end of the day, we are going to, we know that we can't survive out here in the middle of this ocean all by ourselves. But if you are willing to step up to the plate,
right,
and here's what we have sitting on the table, we are more than happy to entertain you. But at the end of the day, they don't expect us to cut off our nose to say, okay, we're going to give it all to you, and then you come back and you give us nothing.
But Ellington, this is what we said regional leaders must do.
It's a beautiful diplomatic statement. We know what's happened in the past. We know what happened in some African nations where China have invested. We know what happened even here in the Bahamas when we got the gift from Taiwan, and China said, hey guys, we're here. We got to make a decision. Again, we need leaders that are strong, leaders that understand where we need to take our country and can speak. We in a pretty good position between these two giants while they stand off and spar, and we need to just have leaders who understand what the Bahamas need and can stand up and speak from a position of strength and not a position of begging, you know. And so it's a wonderful thing. I hope everything goes well down there. I'm not sure who all is on there from the Bahamas, and we just need to be strong, the whole entire region, and
Prime
take
Minister
advantage
there,
of
that's
this
the most important
situation.
thing. And
Don't let nobody pull you in a room and corner you.
that part. All of the prime ministers are there as well. So the most important
Absolutely.
thing, the prime
Yeah.
ministers are at that meeting. So
Yeah.
we await the outcome. Don't go anywhere. Beyond the Headlines is back right after this.
Hello, ambitious women. Are you ready to take your business to the next level? This is your chance to shine. I'm Adriana Fox, co-founder of the Fox Foundation.
And I'm Adriel Fox, Legacy Advocate of the Fox Foundation. We're thrilled to announce the second annual Women's Entrepreneurship Episode Grant Initiative, created to empower and support women like you who are making waves in the business world.
This year, we're offering $75,000 in grants to female entrepreneurs with innovative business ideas in undersaturated markets and industries that have yet to reach their full potential. Our top 3 prizes are $25,000 for first place, $20,000 for second place, and $15,000 for third place. In addition, 7 runner-ups will receive $2,000.
We encourage businesses such as those in digital markets like web innovations, AI-driven service, niche e-commerce, or emerging industries such as green technologies, health tech, cultural tourism, and personalized educational platform. Whether you're launching a startup, scaling your business, or tackling that big idea that needs a financial boost, this grant is for you. Last year, we funded 10 incredible entrepreneurs, and this year, it could be you.
Imagine what you could achieve with the funding to grow your dreams.
Apply now and join a powerful community of women entrepreneurs leading the way. Applications are open from January 31st to February 28th. Don't wait. Visit our website for more information. This is your opportunity to break into a growing market and make an impact. Apply today and let's build a future of unstoppable women entrepreneurs together.
Who are the boss for dancer?
International events and production, Alive, Bahamas Air, Everybody Wins Live, and Field of Vibes Bahamas Weekend presents
the Evolution Concert on Saturday, March 29th at Clifford Park, featuring Vibes Cartel and Friends.
Bahamas, Nassau, where is Saturday the 29th of March?
It's one of the biggest events to hit the shores of Nassau, Bahamas.
Get ready for Adi the Teacher, the Dancehall King, aka the World Boss, Vibes Cartel.
Real bad man, no muggle in a shot.
Log into our official airline Bahamas Air for travel specials. It gets better. We're also giving away a brand new Cybertruck.
And up to $50,000 in cash and prizes at the concert. Compliments of Everybody Wins Live.
Log into our website, feelthevibesweekend.com.
For tickets, tables, skyboxes, and more info.
Visit Ticket Flair or email intlevents242@gmail.com.
WhatsApp or call 1242-808-2369.
I remember Cartel go did it.
What? You don't know what TDC is? Tourism Development Corporation?
You mean the Ministry of Tourism?
No, that ain't the same thing, but the Tourism Development Corporation helps to develop and grow behemoth businesses in the tourism industry. You know what they say, boy? Oh yeah, develop and grow. You don't know what all the things they do?
What does do?
Hey, check the website, boy.
Start your journey to ownership of our #1 industry today. Log on to tdcbahamas.com.
If you enjoy watching Beyond the Headlines, take advantage of our exclusive offers with 4 15-minute interview segments at $1,200 and 20 30-second TV ads at $2,000. Contact 557-0258 or 557-0259 for more information. Go beyond with Beyond the Headlines.
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. Executive Director of the Organization for Responsible Governance, Matt Aubrey, is celebrating the progress towards the appointment of the Office of Ombudsman. while providing an overview of what qualifications are necessary for the position. You remember this was discussed in Parliament this week, where of those bills, much sought after and anticipated to basically bring about greater accountability, were discussed and passed. Take a listen.
We're excited to hear that there is movement on bringing the Ombudsman Act into force. In the Ombudsman Act, it does talk the fact that the selection of the Ombudsman is to be done with by the Governor General, but through the recommendations of a committee. And that committee comprises the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition. There's representatives from the Judicial and Legal Service Commission, as well as the Public Service Commission. You also would have more independent perspectives, as the President of the Chamber of Commerce would also be there, and a member that would represent civil society, which is to be selected by the umbrella organization of civil society organizations in the Bahamas. And that's great, because it does indicate that there's a variety of perspectives that are helping to select this person, who in many instances is only going to be effective if they are independent or perceived to be independent of political influence. So that will be important as they look at it. The person that they can determine has to be a level that they would have been qualified to be a justice of the Supreme Court. They also have to know things about the Constitution. So I think all of these things, and what we've realized is you can have, and this just isn't the case in the Bahamas, but everywhere, you could have laws that are passed and reflect best interests and global practices when they're passed, but if they aren't brought forward and fully enacted and enforced, they don't achieve their benefits. And one of the most important things is having active input from citizens. So for those that are skeptical, this is a critical time. We've never been closer to having this act passed. The Freedom of Information Commission himself said the two things they needed were they needed the regulations passed, which have already been drafted, and they need full funding, which is about $1 million to make sure that they bring this together. So if folks have concerns and are skeptical, now is a great time to go and talk to those who've been elected to represent you, so that they understand that in this coming budget, things like freedom of information, the ombudsman, the two bills that were just passed are reflected financially, and that they're well resourced, and that they also are prioritized in terms of moving forward any regulations that need to happen. Those things can reflect the fact that the public will can move the political will.
So, gentlemen, I mean, there's not much to say about this, except the fact that, of course, he's talking about they are like basically seen as anti-corruption bills to bring about, again, an independent investigative body to investigate whether it be public officials or any real serious complaint made against officials, elected officials, or any other official on that level in the nation. It also is something, this is quite new, you guys, something that will protect whistleblowers. And boy, I tell you, whistleblowers, that's a different thing altogether. But in any event, your thoughts about this, where the whistleblower will not receive any retaliation?
You know, Shanique, I had a conversation, something related to this with a government employee. I wouldn't say, let me not say an official, And as it relates to corruption, in terms of a lot of these government agencies, a lot of public servants always say I would say the officials know who the perpetrators are in terms of who's doing the mess. The issue is that we continue to protect them, especially when they find out there's a certain individual. So you ask yourself, who's going to be the independent body? Are we bringing in? We must be bringing in foreigners, or we bringing in Trump? We got to bring somebody, because at the end of the day, if it remains an independent Bahamian body, certain cases might go through because they might find out, it's somebody who we don't know who this person is, so let's go, let's prosecute. But then you find out there's a certain official, a certain individual. Of course.
You're trying to say we ain't gonna do that to ourselves?
No, phone calls are gonna be made. Hey, this came across our desk, so and so, or we can have to leave.
Leave that one.
This is the issue that we have in the Bahamas, and it's been ongoing for from
independence.
From independence.
Before maybe.
To see that one come to fruition and actually be some impact is made, that's yet to be seen. I don't see it going anywhere unless, depend on the individuals who make up this so-called independent body.
Yeah, it is very interesting to see how this is going to work for some reason or another. This ombudsman has been close to this stage, spanning across several administration. This administration in its final year is attempting to put it, whether it's really coming into fruition or it's just going to sit on the table, it remains to be seen. But we need this for public life, for public officials. We'll wait and see what comes out of it, whether it's really come to fruition like it is being said.
Gentlemen, who shops at Super Value around the table?
I do.
You do? Michael, you go to Fresh Market now?
No, I go.
Whole Foods.
I barely go into the food. I barely go into the food store. The thing,
your housekeeper, where does your housekeeper shop?
Yeah.
Who?
That's a good question.
I don't have a housekeeper.
Don't play around. Don't play around with me, please.
Michael sits at the table. He don't know where it comes from.
No, the housekeeper shop.
I go to Florida.
Did not I say you go to Whole Foods? In any event, guys, you know the quality stamp has been like amazing. Like
Yes.
people save up. All year long, and I got a bag full. Like I just need to use it. But they save up all year long and wait maybe at the end of the year or some point, and they go and they say they're shopping, right? And you guys know Super Value has promised to do away with that paper and that licking of the stamp and pasting it on to something. No, they can be like Fresh Market. Deborah Simonet, Super Value's president, says the new card system and the new card point system is still coming on stream and will be rolled out in another month or so.
It's going pretty well. We're anticipating starting next month. We're in the final stages of ironing out any glitches that we found. So we are very hopeful that everything will be ready for next month. Oh, it's been very good. Everybody's signing up. We have the scanning process now. You just scan and it'll direct you to the application where you can fill it in online. So more and more people are signing up, and hopefully by next month we will have a very good amount of our customers in the system and ready to go. About 2,500 or possibly more. But at least 2,500.
So you all, that's fantastic. I mean, for those of us who have the Fresh Market card, we know how it's just so much easier to sort of pull out the card at the cash register and have them put your points there. And boy, it does make a difference. And so Super Value is following suit. Again, all in the name of progress, gentlemen.
Shanique, I think it's even good for the business because I'm pretty sure with these stamps, they got to keep them heavily guarded, That's like you said, they're not being given out. Hey, you get 10,000, you get 10,000. I think it helps.
Somebody gave me 10,000. I'll tell you, you know what? Like a Sunday, I went to Super Value and this lady was so kind. She's like, here. You could use my stuff, my stamps, and shop.
Yeah. So I mean, you've seen it. We see it happening. You have the reward systems where you can get points online when you shop on different online. So I mean, that's the direction the industry is moving in. So it's a good thing. And also, those nasty stamps. I don't know. A lot of people, they lick them from they lick them and they put them. You know where those stamps has been. In terms of you get kids. Sometimes people give them to their kids. They leave them at home. Say, that's your job for the day. Lick them stamps and put them on. And I come back and I want them all done. So I think it's a good move. People just gotta, at the end of the day, it's efficient. I think it's efficiency for Super Value. I'm pretty sure it's gonna bring a lot of efficiency, whereas they don't have to buy all these rolls of stamps. It's gonna cut down on cost, hopefully bring the grocery cost down because they don't have to buy all the paper.
Remember, this administration has promised, I think either March 1st or April 1st, we see a discount as well. And in terms of VAT.
Yes.
So therefore, to have that, as you said, in Super Value, saving money on, because they also have the paper that they put the stamps on.
The reels got to be fixed. All kind of maintenance. So the system now is just they pay a couple dollars for a system. It's just it's technology. I'm happy to see them.
Yeah. It's a wonderful thing, and I welcome it. I think it's going to enhance the customer experience for the Super Value supermarkets and around the country. It's a very good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, gentlemen, let me tell you something. I am happy to share and wrap up this Hot Topics discussion tonight with this wonderful video. It's from the island of Auckland, and I know we talked about last night where a gentleman from Auckland is missing, and I don't know, there's no word in terms of him being found as yet, but I'll tell you this though. It's good to see community policing happening like this and police officers You know, because those beautiful far-flung islands and the family islands are so beautiful. And to see the lengths that this police officer, Police Constable 3911 Nigel Brown, went to rescue a dog recently. Take a look.
Yeah, we had to clean the well.
Yeah. Go down the well, you scaled it.
Scrub it.
So listen, as you can see, that there is Officer Nigel Brown, and he armed and everything. He mustn't even think, but because it has his weapon right there, I think.
Those frogs are big. Sometimes you gotta shoot.
Yeah, that's...
What is it? Frogs?
Frogs. Oh yeah, frogs live down there.
OMG.
In
any event, there is a dog that fell in the well. That's him climbing down the well. The owners of the dog are there encouraging him, trying to help him hold the rope. You saw him tie one of the ropes on a tree, and he decided he couldn't coax the dog to get in the crate. So therefore, he is going down the well. There he is. Go ahead, officer. Go ahead, Barney Fife. He is down in the well. There's the dog. Okay. We're going to see him and the dog and everything coming out. He put the dog in the crate. And this is so nice. I mean, this right here is what the Bahamas is about, what it's been about. And just in a way that we could get back to this. Certainly you don't want to have this, you want to have this maintained on an island like Auckland's. And so this officer exercising great strength to pull himself up on a rope and buy a rope.
You could tell he cleaned plenty wells in his young age. He know what's going on. He know what's going on in those wells.
That was so nice. I'm happy that they sent that to me. I was happy to share it with all of you and to commend you, Officer Nigel Brown, 3911. I mean, taking police to whole new levels.
Absolutely.
New levels.
Obviously, he's went up there. I'm not sure where he's from up there or not, but he's went up there. He's immersed in that community, a wonderful community. Auckland's is where I grew up, and him going down in that well brought back fond memories of us periodically having to go down in the well to clean the well. What you do, you just bail out all of the water, and you got to do that fast.
But how do you get all the water out?
You got to do it fast while one bucket is coming down,
when tide
and
is
you're
low.
getting wetter.
Remember, wells go up and down with the tide.
So you scrub around the walls below it. So that brings back fond memories.
The only thing you got to look out for is, I don't say look out. You just got to, when you hear the frogs down there.
Oh, they're there.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Yeah, you all said they're huge.
You know, I'm happy. I think it's heartwarming, and you know, we always say that, you know, we hope that we can treat our brothers and sisters the same, you know, in terms of...
And then pets. Pets are part of people's families, and so the fact that he did that, there are no steps down that well. He had to use strength, core strength and all of it, climb the walls and all of that, risking his own safety to go and rescue that dog. But these guys, apparently, they are aware of climbing a well. I mean, I didn't even know. I thought it was going to be slippery. But again, congratulations to you, Officer Nigel Brown. We certainly here at Beyond the Headlines.
He needs a raise.
He needs
greatest island in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. I think you should stay there. We're going to give you an official passport as an Auckland's Islander.
You all got a passport,
apparently they do.
Come up there later.
Apparently they do. Listen, gentlemen, I thank you both very much. Of course, once again, hey, Police Constable 3911 Nigel Brown, you are tonight's MVP. How about that? Beyond the Headlines has named you and crowned you that, because just great job. Continue doing the great job you're doing there on the island. Continue caring about pets as well, because you know, in the Bahamas sometimes we don't necessarily give all that attention to pets, but that's so good to see that. Thank you so much.
Some people don't give it to humans, so you know, you have to be.
I thank you so much, Ellington Ferguson, Michael Turnquest. Thank you as well. Listen, don't go anywhere, because when we come back, the former Speaker of the House of Assembly, Halson Mutri, joins me to talk about this mental health issue among men in particular, especially as it relates to committing crime. But what's behind it? How are men feeling?
New legal tactic.
You bet it's a new legal tactic. But he say, you know what? That new legal tactic is a reason behind it. We talk about that right after the break. It is a new legal tactic.
Rejuvenate, refresh, treat yourself. Immerse yourself in total comfort. Pamper yourself. After all, you're worth it. Relax. Rid yourself of all life's stresses. At Baja Retreat Anti-Aging Spa, you will find everything you need to enhance your body and spirit. Call today at 323-6711 and begin your journey to serenity at Baja Retreat Anti-Aging Spa.
Cashmas time, here we go. Mercy's doing it big this year. Cashmas time with extra chair. 12 days of merry winnings from your friends at Island Day. Friends we trust, hey we know. Cashmas time, here we go. Prizes and lots of dough. This Christmas, come catch a lick with 20 on your account, quick, quick, quick. And you can win some awesome stuff at Percy's Island Day.
At the Water and Sewage Corporation, safety and convenience are our top priorities. However, our meter readers face challenges that can make their job difficult. Locked gates to guard dogs sometimes leads to missed readings and estimated bills, which can be frustrating for you and us. That's why we're upgrading to digital meters. They bring safety, accuracy, and convenience to homes across the Bahamas. We can streamline data collection, reduce on-site visits, and provide more accurate bills with no more estimates. Digital meters also help detect leaks early, saving you from costly bills and reducing water waste. Soon, a user-friendly app will let you track your water usage, manage bills, and stay informed, all at your fingertips. Over the next year, we're rolling out digital meters nationwide, transforming how we serve you with a safer and cost-efficient water supply. To learn about our digital meters, visit our website or call us today. And don't forget to update your information at any of our locations.
You work hard to provide for and protect the ones you love. However, life can present unexpected challenges. Who you call in times of need matters. Insurance Management is a Bahamian-owned company that has been serving our community for over 40 years, offering a wide range of coverage for all of your personal, professional, and commercial needs. When life happens, rest easy knowing that our skilled and experienced agents are there for you in your time of need, so that you can get back to what matters most. Insurance Management. Nobody does it better.
So you want a space. But not just any space. You need something with a little more potential. So how about 1,000 square feet of room to play with? Superb audio and video production capability, digital LED wall, full lighting grid, and about 124 seats to accommodate a full studio audience with so many other features. Make us your home for your next concert, conference, and so much more. Honestly, the possibilities are endless. Here at ILTV Studios, we'd love to bring your next event to life. So what do you say? Do you want our space?
If you enjoy watching Beyond the Headlines, take advantage of our exclusive offers with 4 15-minute interview segments at $1,200 and 20 30-second TV ads at $2,000. Contact 557-0258 or 557-0259 for more information. Go beyond with Beyond the Headlines.
This segment of Beyond the Headlines is brought to you by EV Motors. Drive the future with brand new 2024 electric vehicles. EV Motors, powering your journey.
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. Well, of course, in the last several weeks, in fact, since late last year, you've seen a number of crimes committed, very serious crime resulting in the loss of life, where it's been reported that the perpetrators and the suspects were suffering from mental illness. And of course, we discussed that on the show at the time about what does that mean? What does it mean then for prosecution? Well, for many people, it feels as the thing is they would be prosecuted, but in a different way. However, though, there's a different twist to that this evening. Former Speaker of the House of Assembly, Halson Mutri, says the mental illness claim is just a cop-out. I want to know exactly what he means this evening as we look at mental illness and crime here in the Bahamas. Welcome to Beyond the Headlines, Mr. Speaker. It's good to have you here. Thank you very much for joining us to discuss something. Thank you, sir, to discuss something so serious and something that many people have been paying attention to, because when we see now in the Bahamas, we have this plea where you can say somebody was insane or mentally unstable, and then that means not necessarily prosecution the traditional way. It's quite vexing. But you say, no, not quite, not so fast. There's something else afoot.
Well, I say, first of all, crime is much more complex than trying to simplify it the way I've been hearing it done recently. Particularly without examination and statistics, medical reports indicating that these persons are insane. We have a complex situation in the Bahamas. Number one, our school system, our public school system is failing and creating a lot of dysfunctional citizens, particularly young men. And so you have that compounded by the fact that those dysfunctional young men who've been deprived of that basic educational foundation have these equipment, these cell phones in their pockets and in their hands. And these cell phones have a lot of fake information, false information.
They do.
And they don't have the basic capacity and understanding to be able to sift through what is real from what is not real.
No.
So you have
So you're saying you have an illiterate, dumb society or
yes,
demographic.
They've been dumbed down by the education, by the educational
by a failing
system.
education system, and equipped with something like this where they cannot determine, number one, what's real, what's not real, what's AI, what's just fake news,
Yes.
but they're running with everything.
And this is an abundance
It is.
of information. And even the intellectuals have challenges sometimes determining what is real from what is fake or artificial intelligence created. So, and then you compound that by the breakdown in the family, where these young men in particular don't have the kind of family structure around them. They don't have that love coming from the home, and so they get involved in gang activities. Now, what I dislike about this whole concept of just attributing insanity to their behavior is that provides an escape hatch so that if you say a person is insane or suffering from mental illness, then you don't have to count that crime as a part of the crime statistics. Because
so you think that sort of now new thing, just sort of a new classification that's emerged, that is also something that sort of chips away at the overall murder count in a given year.
Exactly, because an insane person doesn't have the mental capacity or what we call in law the mens rea to commit a crime. So he has to be institutionalized as opposed to replaced in prison.
Right.
And plus he doesn't have the legal capacity to stand trial.
How is that determined in the Bahamas, though? Because I want to break down what you talked about. You said the education system has failed and is failing. The family structure has been eroded. How is that determined? How do we know? How in the Bahamas, you as an officer of the court, and that whole judicial system, the criminal system, determine that somebody is mentally unstable?
Well, first of all, if you examine that person's medical history and you determine that there's a history of mental illness in his family, or he has medical records that show that history. But if he doesn't, then he needs to be evaluated. That person, he or she, needs to be evaluated, and that should be a medical determination that person's lack the mental capacity to even understand what he's doing. And the reason why I say that is because when you look at rape, for example, you can't tell me a man who can get the feelings, make the decision to go after a female physically, hold her down, has the capacity to take off his clothes, take off her clothes, and force himself on her, doesn't know what he's doing.
And in some instances, even harm her to the point of no return. And yes, exactly, and this is what we've discussed. How does he not know what he's doing? How has he not been in his mind and thinking that this is what his intention was and carried it out?
Exactly. You see, that is why you need to have persons examined. You cannot just have persons in administrative positions or prosecutors making that determination. Even the judges don't make that determination without the medical evidence.
So in the Bahamas, we don't have much good record of anything. Who makes that determination in the case of what we're talking about now, where many men in recent time have found themselves before the court, and before long we have heard that mental instability claim of being attached to them, that they cannot stand trial because they're just mentally unstable?
Well, normally defense counsel will advance a defense of insanity because that provides an opportunity for the person not to face the full punishment that should be meted out for the particular crime. So a defense counsel may advance that defense, but the prosecution as well as the judge should ensure that before a defense of insanity is accepted by the court, that the person is examined, and the court should be satisfied that a medical expert gives a report that that person really is suffering from some sort of mental deformity or derangement, and that he has no capacity to know what he has done.
So let's look at where Bahamian men find themselves. You said, a part of the reason is this is really not mental illness. It's the fact that they are now unable, Bahamian men largely speaking, just broadly speaking, unable to get themselves to the level of where Bahamian society is now grown, meaning they are not sufficiently skilled, certainly not qualified in terms of academically or even, again, with skills. And so therefore, that has become the crutch.
Yes, we are creating in our society handicapped people. If you listen to the narrative carefully in the Bahamas, we were talking about minimum wage rather, or some other form of earning where they are basically saying that the person lacks the capacity to demand a particular income. Mm-hmm. So the government is providing a safety hatch, but it is becoming too widespread and across the board in terms of persons just relying on that and expecting the government to step forward and to assist them. And I believe...
Are we becoming too much of a socialist state?
Somewhat, because I think the policies we have in place, the social promotion in the public school system, for example, encourages young men in particular not to attend school, not to pass exams, and they move right along and they get a school leaving certificate. Mm-hmm. Many of them who cannot read and write. I did a survey years ago in the public school system and discovered that over 60% in grade 11, 10, 11, and 12 couldn't read the questionnaire.
You're kidding.
60.
So there's no, I forgot what it's called, but certainly let's just break it down then. There's no comprehension to read this right now and say union leaders voice off on the re-employment of civil servants. It doesn't connect readily for them. You mean on that level of not being able to read, yes, or not being able to read at all?
At all. They are illiterate. If you I would wager that if you get 1,000 young men today randomly, and you take them into a job interview and ask them to prepare to complete an application form, 65 to 70% of them cannot read that form.
No way.
65 to 70% of them.
Today in the Bahamas.
If you know what I do a lot with young men today, they love to send me voice notes. And every time they send me a voice note, I send them a text. And they would tell me, send me a voice note. And I say, I'm not sending you a voice note because I don't want to hear my voice note
all over the place.
around
Yes,
town. But
yes.
the real purpose, I'm not sending the voice note, is to make sure they learn how to read.
So you feel as though, because some people, I never thought about that before. I figured the person just want a voice note. You are saying that many times when somebody insists on that and continue using that as a way of communicating through WhatsApp, for example, that is because they cannot type anything.
They cannot type anything. And you can tell sometimes when they try to type, because they don't know the difference between H-O-L-E, W-H-O-L-E, or H-O-L-D. So when they have their phone set so the phone gives the word as they type, they select the wrong word because they don't know what the right word should be, but that sounds like the right word.
How dangerous is it for young men to continue slipping through the system of the public education system where they are not being captured, and they go out there and they try to get construction jobs, they try to get mechanic jobs, and because a business owner was speaking with me yesterday, and he said, Shanique, you know who's now controlling the mechanic industry, for example, auto mechanics? Jamaicans. He said, because when you go to Bahamians, they don't know what they're doing, and if they happen to patch something up for you, and it holds up for maybe a week, if you're lucky a month, and you got to go right back to try have it fixed again, because they don't know, they're not sufficiently skilled anymore. Because again, just as construction has gone and grown to a certain level, so too has auto mechanic,
Yes.
and they have not kept pace.
They have not kept pace. Most cars now have computers and have a digital control, controlling the systems. And what you find is, and I've seen mechanics do this, you'll go and they will go on YouTube and they will get their way of trying to resolve that problem from a YouTube video.
Mm-hmm.
And they will go through that process. But they really cannot analyze the process and determine what the real issues are.
Because the foundational knowledge is not there for where vehicles have come in 2025.
It's just not there, and they are not interested.
That's it. That is key too.
In learning. They're not interested.
That is key too. So therefore, again, this sort of cop-out with having a mental instability or insanity type thing that we see just emerging, or those who, like you say, love the government system where that minimum wage has been introduced, and then they are perhaps having their fingers crossed for the livable wage to also be introduced so that they can be in that.
Listen, I had an experience a couple of weeks ago. There was an advertisement, I think in the Fort Charlotte constituency, where they were planning a job fair. So I know a whole lot of young men in that area because that is where my firm is at. And I decided, well, I printed out the advertisement and I took it to a group of young men. And one took it and started to rip it without even reading it. He wanted to rip it apart. And some of the guys stopped him, saying, no, Samultri brought that here, let's take a look at it. He's, respectable, and we don't think he'd bring us something foolish. Let's see what it is he brought. But what I'm saying is that is the level. They don't, and that guy in particular don't have a job, is always hustling.
And wasn't interested in the job possibility.
No, every time you see him, it's give me, lend me, have you any, can you spare me?
So then that explains the anger too that we see being displayed by so many men in the Bahamas.
Yes.
Just angry.
Just angry because they are not able to fulfill their purpose and their masculine obligation. A man is a provider, naturally. And when a man cannot provide, he becomes frustrated. And that's part of the problem too in the crime that we see happening. We have a lot of frustrated men because they cannot function at the level that they are supposed to function. They cannot. I went through Windsor Lane one day and I spoke with some young men and they told me, Moultrie, look here, we have children and we will do anything to feed those children. I mean, I was so proud to hear that. But that anything...
You know what they meant by anything?
That's what I'm saying. The anything really meant even criminal activity.
I think they mean especially that.
You see what I mean? But what I'm saying is they at least had the desire as a male to feed their children.
To do anything. Listen, Mr. Mutri, I want you to talk about how the family is impacting the psyche and the mindset and this sort of crutch that's developed in recent time of men. The fact that the structure of the family, the Bahamian family, has almost disintegrated.
Yeah, that's one of the major challenges we are facing in our society, where a lot of the homes, the father is absent. There's no male presence in the home, and we have to give and congratulate our women for the Herculean task of raising boys in particular. Because I can tell you from being a young boy myself with 3 other brothers, our mother, she could scream to the top of her voice and we wouldn't respond. Especially us, I have 2 brothers that I had to look up to in terms of height, and I'm 6'4". So we didn't listen to our mother's voice because we knew she couldn't inflict the kind of punishment physically on us that our father would. But as soon as our father arrived at home and she started to explain to him the problems she had, everything changed. And that's the presence of a male in the family.
That is so missing nowadays in this country.
It is absolutely missing. And then we're turning over our children now to television.
And to
cell phones.
Right there.
And
mainly
the gangs. And the gangs are filling the void of the absentee father. And that's why I am reluctant to support any initiative what appears to have the potential to destroy the family unit.
Like what, for example?
To destroy marriage, like marital rape.
Marital rape. I have to bring you back to talk about that because...
It has the possibility.
Yeah.
You see?
It's going right at that fragment that's still that's still hanging by a thread in the Bahamas.
Because if it is all about rape, why are they insisting on not dropping marital? If it is all about rape, and everyone, I don't think I haven't met a male, who feels that another man should rape a woman.
Do you know, as an attorney, do you know of any women who or an uptick in rapes? Let's be real now. Be real honest, Mr. Speaker. Are women being sexually assaulted in their marriages in the Bahamas?
In their marriages? Well, let me put it this way.
Yes or no?
As an attorney, dealing with divorce matters, where there is one of the grounds is cruelty, and any form of cruelty, whether it's mental cruelty, physical cruelty, whatever, I have not seen one divorce petition yet where the wife complained that she was raped by her husband.
We'll pick that up right there. We'll pick that up because for some reason this is becoming a major point of discussion and debate in the nation, which I'm not sure why. So we have another date, Mr. Speaker, to discuss that. Thank you very much, former Speaker of the House of Assembly, Halson Mutri, this evening, speaking about men and where Bahamian men find themselves in a 2025 Bahamas where so many opportunities, burgeoning now with opportunities, but they are being left out because, as you heard him say, they have decided to check out of the educational system and now it's catching up. We're gonna continue looking at that. Thank you.
Our men need help.
Our men need help. I agree. I absolutely agree. I want to thank all of you for tuning in this evening. Certainly enjoyed having you along and look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow evening. For the entire Beyond the Headlines team, I'm Shanique Miller. Make it a great evening, everyone.